Hey guys, this is Tamer again from F the Track, back for vlog number 2 this time. Wanted to do something a little bit different, to where as opposed to just doing the ownership and buyer review, basically kind of a thing. This time I wanted to go into, once you own the car, what do I do, or how is it basically to track my Lexus ISF once I've purchased the car. Now this is going to be obviously for the owners who do choose to. I know most owners don't, but I've done quite a bit. I've done 19 so far, and next month I'm actually headed to Nevada to Spring Mountain Raceway. Basically, we're going to do it'll be the number 20. It'll be the 3rd state as well, and it'll be track number 7 or 8, excuse me, for me, or for the car. So I'm looking forward to that, absolutely. But anyway, since I've done quite a bit of these, I wanted to share with you guys some of my own experiences with the ISF on the track, as well as, you know, what I need, you know, how the car handles, how it goes through brakes and tires, you know, that kind of stuff, basically, important stuff. So let me start from the beginning here, basically. Initially, when you go to the track with your ISF, the main thing that you're going to want, it's going to be a few things here, basically, but you're going to need number 1, okay? And this is, you need to be humble, okay? Number 2, we need a good attitude. Number 3, we need the willingness to learn. All right. Now the main thing with any owner of any car basically who heads to the track, you have to admit they are a little bit more the enthusiast type, okay? As opposed to kind of, you know, just you know, showing the car at some car shows, you doing your daily commuting, you know, waxing that thing up, which I totally respect and understand, you guys. That's how I've been with basically every car I've ever owned until I've gotten to the ISF. But this thing's a little bit different. It's definitely special relative to what I've owned in the past. So I'm going to speak for myself here. So exactly what I'd mentioned to you guys, basically. When you show up to the track, you guys, the main thing you need to realize is it's not an environment of, to be totally frank, it's not a dick swinging environment. It's not the kind of place you're going to go out and you want to show everybody how badass your car is and how fast, you know, how fast you think you are. And that's, again, that brings us back to the main point. You're not as good as you think you are, okay? I'm sure we've all done some wild shit, especially if you're the type of guy who's going to go to the track. I'm sure we've done some wild shit on the street, which we shouldn't be. You know, I'm sure you've, you know, you think you can handle the car and you've pushed the car and that kind of thing. Essentially, my message to anybody who's willing to take their car to the track is you have no idea what your car can do until you take it to the track. You also have no idea how good or how bad you are until you go to the track. And most of the time, then initially, it's basically finding out that you don't know as much as you do. The enthusiasm is there, the willingness to learn is there. You know, you want to go out and hot dog a little bit, I understand that, but that's, you know, obviously, like I said, you need to go in humble, willingness to learn, good attitude. So when you officially, you know, you kind of sign up for your first track day, basically, the way we want to do that, how do we get to the track? That was always a mystery to me when I used to own my other cars, and obviously you're a sports car enthusiast, that kind of thing. How the hell do these guys go to the track? Where do they go exactly? Like, what are these groups that you get joined up in, basically? Now, if you look online, and it's as simple as just doing a Google search online, you just do yourself a Google search locally, and you're going to find some of the main groups. Now, the main national groups are going to be NASA, which is National Autosport Association, and you have SCCA, which is Sports Club, what is it, Sports Car Club Association, or Sports Car Club of America, I believe, one of those. Anyways, those are national groups. Excuse me on the second one if my name was wrong there. But anyways, they're national groups, so those are very easy to get into. Now, you just doing local searches for track day groups or performance driving groups in your area or your state will work, basically. Now, I've run with NASA before, which is, again, one of the national groups, and they're regional. I've run with SCCA before, and I've run with Pro Auto, which is the one I'm pretty much in love with, and that's kind of the guys I run with now. I like them. And I've run with Speed Ventures in California when I went to Chuckwalla. So again, these are just, you know, just Google the names, you'll find some groups. Now, every group that you're going to run with is going to have its own requirements in terms of safety. And even its scheduling, everything, basically. Every group is individual. Some have, you know, certain, you know, restrictions in terms of what you can wear. Like, let's say Pro Auto in Arizona, they're, you know, you can drive in shorts, you can drive in a t-shirt, that kind of a thing. with NASA in Arizona, again, it's regional. You can drive with shorts, you can drive with a t-shirt, no issue. You know, obviously no flip-flops, that kind of thing. Now, most of the other groups that I've ever run with, or let's say if I look online, check out requirements, they're pretty hardcore about, you know, long sleeve shirts, you gotta wear jeans, you gotta wear shoes, which is understandable. But, you know, their issue is in case there's any injury, any accident, anything like that, you basically not, you know, you're not exposing the skin. Arizona, I think they realize that, you know, we're literally doing track days, you guys. It's like 100, 105, 110. It gets a little ridiculous out there in the summer. So they let us wear, you know, t-shirts and shorts, no tank tops, that kind of thing, basically. But, you know, again, a little bit more lax. Bottom line is you need to check your requirements in terms of in every option or every category basically out there, in terms of, like I said, safety, what you can wear, you know, their scheduling, how tight they run their scheduling. When I ran with NASA is a national group. They're a little bit strict. So, you know, before you go out, they have the safety inspections. Every single car before it goes out, they have to open your hood. They check, you know, make sure everything's tied down, batteries aren't loose. They check your trunk. They want to make sure there's nothing in the trunk that's going to move around. They do want everything removed from the trunk. Whereas, let's say when you run with some groups, let's say when I run with Pro Auto or Speed Ventures, there was no safety check, you know, just, you know, whatever. You check your car, they ask you if you checked the car. Yeah, I checked it, and you're out the track, basically, and you're out the door, and you're having some fun. Now, when you're, again, when you're out there, you need to have that willingness to really learn. And the cool thing about the setups with all the track groups is they are going to have an instructor with you. And I know, you know, even as willing as you know, hungry as I was to go to the track, basically, and learn as much as I could and beat the hell out of the car and have a great time, you know, there's obviously going to be some anxiety. You're just kind of like, you know, I don't know exactly what I'm getting into. I don't know exactly how hardcore these guys are when I get out there. You know, and exactly, you know, what are we doing? How fast are we going? You know, that kind of thing. So obviously there's going to be some anxiety. The cool thing about it is they have an instructor in the car with you when you run as a beginner. And you don't move up immediately. It takes a few track days to move up. I was lucky enough to where my instructor felt like I was advanced enough and the car was quick enough to where I could move up after my first session. Not trying to toot my own horn, that's not the norm. Me and one other guy in the group got to move up after one group, but generally they say it's anywhere between 2 to 4 track days to run as a beginner, basically. And the cool thing again is you'll have an instructor in the car. Now the cool thing with the instructors, generally the rule with the track days, you guys, is there is no passing allowed unless you and the instructor in the car in front of the other cars does a point by, basically. And a point by, essentially, just take your finger and your arm out and you point to where you want the other guy to go, and you always maintain your line on the track when you're doing that. So again, it's safe. You know, you're effectively, when you're in the beginner, you're following each other at high speed. You know, in a train. We're not necessarily hot dogging, you're not passing, that kind of thing, but you're getting a feel of the limits of the car. That's the main thing too, is just learning the limits of the car, the limits of you, how quickly you can respond, if you need to counter steer, you know, how to brake. You know, the main thing when you're coming off the street, the main thing I find for most drivers is everybody's braking way too early. And I understand, we're all braking like on the street. You get there out on the track, you know, and you think you're late braking, then you have your instructor drive your car and you're like, holy shit. It almost feels like you're sitting there going, I didn't know the car could stop like this. It's insane. So effectively, again, learning your limits, learning the car's limits, learning how to brake, learning how to enter a turn, learning the limits of adhesion and grip, that kind of thing, which is obviously very important. And then again, it varies with every layout. You got front wheel drive, they respond totally different. They've got their own dynamics. You got all wheel drive, you know, they've got their own dynamics. They tend to push and roll a little bit more. And then you got rear wheel drive, tends to oversteer a little bit more on power exit. So again, you're learning how the car responds and how it works. And the cool thing is you've got the instructor in the car, which is always nice. So it takes a bit of the the anxiety out of it and allows you to enjoy it a little bit more. And the cool thing is too, is it'll spark your interest. I guarantee you, if you go out for a track day, you're going to get addicted. And as cliche as it sounded and kind of cheesy as it did initially, I remember everybody telling me that, you know, oh, be careful, man, it's really addictive out there, this and that. And you're like, oh, whatever, you know, just haha, you know, I know it's going to be fun. But no shit, it's addictive. I swear to God, if you do this, it's not the kind of thing that you're just going to drop and walk away. It's the kind of thing that you're going to want to continue to do. Even if it's once every 3-4 years, I guarantee you, you'll continue doing track days and sharing that kind of thing with your friends and your family. So anyways, once you move up from the beginner, basically, that, like I said, can take generally between 2 to 4 track days, and you'll move up to a more intermediate group. Now the intermediate group, the cool thing about that, you guys, is they're number one, you're on your own, which is kind of cool. Makes it, you know, it's a little bit more fun. No babysitter in the car. The other cool thing about it too is the driver's a little bit more experienced, so everything moves a little bit faster, which is nicer. It definitely does make it more fun. I will admit, as a beginner, sometimes you do get caught in what we call lap traffic, and you're just driving around the track, you know, at like 7/10, maybe 6/10, and you're basically just in a line of cars. So, you know, not so much fun, basically. So the cool thing is when you move up to the advanced or intermediate groups, right now I'm at the advanced or pre-race group, which is really fun. But anyways, the intermediate group does allow you again to kind of pick up the speed. There's no instructor in the car. The cool thing is too, or you know, one thing that might kind of freak out initially is too, you get used to the point buys when you're a beginner. Is after after the beginner group, you move up. There's no more point buys. There's passing with courtesy. These guys can move in on you anywhere. You know, for the most part, you're going to find that most people are still going to wait for a pass by or a point by. Excuse me. But every now and then you will get the guy who'll hot dog. So you have to be careful. You have to mind your mirrors. Certain rules of the track, basically too, is they're going to tell you too, when you're on the track, especially as a beginner, one of the main things you're going to watch for is your rear view mirror. That's the most important thing. Secondary of what the hell's going on in front of you, but you need to pay attention to what's going on behind you as well as on both sides. Now, if they always say the rule is generally if somebody's filling your rear view mirror, they're faster than you. So again, it goes back to the being humble and no hot dogging kind of thing and willingness to learn. If the guy's behind you and he's filling your mirror, he's faster than you. So don't be a dick and ruin the guy's lap times as well as his fun. Let the guy by. And that gets difficult for some, I will admit, you guys, that is difficult. A lot of guys, again, you've got that attitude, you've got this badass car, I want to go out and have some fun, and you know, I've done some crazy shit on the street, and I've played some video games. I want to go out and I want to show everybody up. You have to turn that down. You have to dial that back. You cannot go out there and hot dog, because you're going to end up fucking up your car. You're going to do something stupid, or you're going to hurt somebody else, or hurt yourself, or do some damage to your car or somebody else's car. So again, just you need to turn it back. When you see somebody behind you, give the guy the point by and back the hell off and continue having your fun. Now obviously we're going to need just a few items for the track. Now again, this can get, I'm going to start with obviously the basic stuff that you're going to need basically to start tracking your ISF, and then you can go all the way up to the guys who have the full freaking trailers, you know, full tents and, you know, chair setups and music and coolers and, you know, the full thing. But the bottom line is when you start with any track day with your ISF, you're going to need a very few things basically, and they'll be on the website. Obviously, number one, you need a driver's license. Obviously, number two, you're going to need a helmet, okay? And number three, you do need to check the requirements of your race group to see what their dress code is. Do you need pants? Do you need long sleeves? Are they kind of a little bit more loose about that kind of stuff? Now again, some groups have their own requirements in terms of tow hooks. Tow hooks are the cool looking things that a lot of guys have no freaking clue how to use. They just put them on their fucking cars at the track, or excuse me, at the car shows. And it's hilarious when I see that shit. And then you ask these guys, you know, what tracks you been to? He's like, no, I've never been to the track. So why do you drive around with a tow hook on your car? It looks ridiculous. I understand he's trying to give the car a little bit more of a hardcore look. Anyways, you guys, to each his own. I just think it looks ridiculous. You got the tire stickers and shit and the tow hook, and the guy has no idea where the nearest track is. Anyways, some groups will require a tow hook, you guys. Some groups don't. NASA, when I was with them in Arizona, at least regionally, they didn't require a tow hook. Pro Auto doesn't require a tow hook. They're fine without it. When I ran with Speed Ventures in California, they told me straight up, you need a tow hook, and if you don't have one, you know, if there's any situation where there's an off or you do some damage, we're gonna tow your fucking car and we're gonna tie a rope to the B pillar and we're gonna pull the thing. So if there's any damage, you know, we're not liable. And you're sitting there going, oh shit, that's not cool. So you find your tow hook really quick, and luckily, Lexus actually supplied us, you guys, with the tow hook, which is super cool. You can find it in the trunk super easy. It's in the trunk, you just pop it out. You've got two positions for your tow hook. You've got the front bumper on the left, or your rear bumper on the right. I'm not sure if it's on both sides or it's just on the right side. But you know, it's a little, I remember I was a little nervous at Chuck Walla. You're about to go out in a group literally about 7 to 10 minutes before, and I'm just like, how the hell do I put this thing on? I had this super cool guy, I'll never forget this guy, this older guy in a Porsche Cayman R helped me figure out how to pop it off. Anyways, just take a very thin screwdriver. I had an ophthalmic screwdriver, something real small for eyeglasses. Just kind of wedge it in there without scratching the paint. Just try and pop. It will pop off. It's got a couple teeth on the inside. It will pop off and come loose. You just take that huge bar in the circle, stick it in, you know, screw the thing in, and you're done basically. And again, that's going to allow, God forbid, there's any off on the track or any damage, they can get you off the track quickly without hooking up to your bib pillar and doing some damage. So again, the helmets you're going to need, you guys are also going to need to check your requirements for your group, because that varies. Some groups will allow M-rated, or which are motorcycle helmets, which are a lot cheaper. Some want the full, you know, the full SA, or I'm not sure it's SA or SAE, but they want the higher rated helmets. The difference is basically, you guys, some helmets are higher rated, right above the motorcycle helmets. They're designed to take impact from roll bars inside the interior. I don't have a roll bar. Most of our cars don't on the track. Most of the cars I find at these track days, you guys, are either going to be like the little, you know, weekend race cars, like the super cheap, like the Miatas, or, you know, the beat up Mustangs, or, you know, that kind of thing. Or you have got, you know, the full on, or yeah, some of the older Beamers too, basically. Or you've got the, you know, full on like our cars, basically, just a nicer daily driver with some power. But you know, it's a daily driver, whether it's a coupe or sedan. Most of them are going to be the coupes, like the Camaros and Mustangs and the Corvettes and Porsches. You know, you will find some of the higher end stuff, which is always cool, basically, when you get out there. Whether you take some pictures out there with them at the track, or you're on the track with them and you get some video with them, it's pretty cool. You know, you get the McLarens and the Ferraris and some of the really high-end Porsches and that kind of a thing. But again, just you check the requirements of the group. That is the main thing in terms of the helmet requirements, you guys, whether you have to go with the SA or the M-rated. Most of the groups will have a requirement in terms of the age of the helmet. You know, they can be, I think, no more than 5 to 7 years. Again, it just depends on the group. Now, I'm going to go through some of the basics in terms of what we do when we're out there on the track, and I'm going to start with the beginners, since this is more of an introductory track day thing for the ISF owners. So, how does this work? So, I'm going to go with effectively when you pull into the parking lot. Okay, when you arrive to the track, you guys, regardless of what it is, as soon as you enter the track and you're all excited, the first thing you're going to come to a couple people at a gate, and they're going to stop you. And what they're going to do is they have to take care of the legal stuff, no matter what. And there is liability with any track day, you guys, and it's usually on your ass. And I'll get on the insurance stuff later with you guys. But there's always liability stuff, and they need to watch their ass. Everybody needs to cover their butts, and that's just the bottom line. So when you enter the track, you're going to arrive. You're going to have somebody at a gate, and they're going to make you sign a waiver when you enter. And the waiver's basically saying, you know, whatever happens, and I'm on my own after that, whether it's me or my car. They will not let you enter the course or even the parking lot. Even if your wife and kids are coming to visit you, everybody has to sign the waiver. So you're going to sign your waiver. You enter the track. Now, once you enter the track, you guys are going to set up a paddock area, which is a very fancy track term for just my parking spot for the day, and where I'm going to leave my tools and my chair and that kind of a thing, basically. So you're going to set up a paddock area. Now, the paddock area will be set up by your group. They might just be an open kind of paddock, which is usually the way it works, which means every, you know, groups and cars are mixed. Some guys had some race, you know, cars or race groups in certain areas, and then the street cars in other areas. It just depends. Anyways, you're going to find yourself a little parking lot, and you're going to set up your paddock area. This is where you're going to lay out your tools and your track chair, your helmet. You know, some guys bring coolers, they bring tents and that kind of a thing, sunshades, that kind of thing, because you're out in the sun, you know, shit, sometimes 6 to 8 hours, sometimes more. They're long days, and you're having a lot of fun. So it's funny, is you don't realize how much sun exposure you get until the next day or that night, until you get in the shower and you burn your shoulder, and they're like, holy shit, that's hot. So yeah, sometimes you do want to bring a tent. Anyways, you set up your paddock area. Once you do that, basically, you're going to want to immediately find where you're going to have your driver's meeting, and that's always going to be first thing in the morning before anything happens. Now, the driver's meeting is going to be held by the race group, and they're going to give you kind of the do's and don'ts for the track, things to know, things to watch for. Examples like, you know, well, when I go to Wild Horse Pass or Firebird International Raceway, the issue with Firebird is and they've got 4 courses. One of their courses has a lot of repair to it, so you've got different type of tarmac and that kind of a thing. So they give you heads up, be careful. Some areas have more grip than others. You know, they'll give you some warnings. Some courses will have runoff area, some courses don't. And what I mean by runoff area is there area for me to make a mistake? Mistake meaning, yeah, I fucked up and I oversteered too much or understeered and went off the track. Do I have room to go off the track? Or God forbid, I need to avoid a car. Do I have room to go off the track if I make a mistake? And that's what I mean by runoff. Most of these tracks, you guys are going to have tons and tons of runoff area. Now, some don't. Okay, and again, that's where these drivers' meetings come in handy. They need to give you kind of the do's and don'ts, things to watch out for at the track, whether it's Again, things to watch out for in terms of courses, repaired spots, you know, where to exit, where to enter, where's the hot pit lane, that kind of thing. And hot pit lane meaning you have a lane on the track or a certain section of the course where you can exit if there's a problem, or if you get into some lap traffic and you just want to exit the course, and then you can always re-enter. You know, translation, bottom line is you get into some lap traffic, or you run into a guy who's fucking hot dogging. And I'll be honest with you guys, in my experience, and I know it sounds funny, it's always the German cars. They always tend to do that shit. Anyways, I end up passing them for the most part, basically, or getting by them, or they just let me by. But if you get into some trouble, they'll let you off, or they give you the heads up that there are areas where you can exit the track and re-enter. So again, do's and don'ts of the driver's meeting. Now, once the driver's meetings, you guys, heads up. Now the one of the other pieces of tools that we're going to need, which is very basic, and you'd be surprised how many people don't carry this anymore, is just a basic watch, okay? Or you guys can just use your cell phone, but you need to have a track schedule on your phone, or you get the paper schedule, and that's what you'll get at the driver's meeting or even at the front gate. You need to be on it, okay? These guys run, when I say like clockwork, you guys, I mean like clockwork. Unless there's an accident, these guys run down to like the 2-minute window. So there's no fucking around. You have to, and they will leave without you. And the issue, basically, not the issue, just a heads up. And it's funny because you'd think it'd be kind of, you know, something that people would kind of think about when they're on the track, but sometimes they don't think, and they just start to head out right when the group heads out. Is a good idea, you guys, is watch the schedule and always realize when the group before you heads out. So let's say I'm in the advanced, you know, drivers group, right? Let's say you have the intermediate group right before me. As soon as they go out and they've got 20-minute session, you don't want to wait until their 20-minute session is over and then run out to the grid and enter the grid to sit, you know, sit on the grid and get ready to go out. You want to enter the grid and prep and sit there on the track, excuse me, before. So what I usually do, and this is just my little thing, and I've learned this over my, you know, 19 track days, is as soon as the group before me goes out, I immediately hit the pit and I grid. Meaning I hit grid lane, I go out and I sit in my grid spot, and that's the spot you're going to park in before the guys, the guys who run the track basically will send your group out on the track. Now, the reason I do that, number one, is I never miss I never miss my group going out. The second thing I like to do is I always like to, or the second reason I do that is I always like to run in grid position 1 or one of the very first cars. The reason I like to do that, you guys, number one, it helps to avoid the stupidest thing on the track, or the most frustrating thing, which is lap traffic. That is really annoying. Basically just running in a choo-choo train around the track at like 6/10 or 7/10. If you're the first car out or the second car out, you have nobody to slow you down. You get to go balls out. You can also warm your car up a little bit faster because you're not falling, you know, the car is out. Which leads me back to some other point I wanted to make. Basically, when you do a track day, you guys, your first lap out on track, and it just depends on the group. It might be the first lap, the first session of the day, or it might be the first lap of every session of the day, but they don't allow passing. It's kind of a warm-up lap, an exploratory lap, where you get to go out, okay? So when you're first headed out, you know, you're kind of learning the track. It gives you a little bit of time to kind of learn the ins and outs of the track. Where are the turns? Where are the exits? You know, where would be a better spot to kind of enter the braking zone. It also gives you some time to warm up your tires. Most of us are going to be out there on aggressive street tires, so you don't need to sit there and do the whole back and forth. I know it looks cool and it's probably fun, basically, but it's not very necessary to do that kind of stuff on these tires. But it's still, the first lap helps to kind of enable the tires to kind of get up to temperature. I run on my car strictly, basically, after I've tried a bunch of different brands. I run the Yokohama 8008R. They are the best street and track combo tire I can find. It is above the Michelin Super Sport, or even the new Michelin, which is I think it's a maximum performance summer street tire. The 8008R and some of the other ones you guys might want to take a look at, like the Bridgestone RE11. That kind of thing, basically. And when you look, Sport Cup 2s, that kind of thing, they obviously don't last as long, but they do hold up a little bit better on the track, and they're going to wear better on the track. Now, I know a lot of people, I will admit, you guys, the Michelin Super Sport and the new replacement, I think it's the PS4, whatever it is going to be an amazing tire if you're not tracking your ISF. If you are tracking your ISF, these are great street tires. They're not made for the track. They're going to give you some grip for one track day. You're going to dry them out, and they're going to perform like shit. So spare yourself with that kind of stuff, you guys. I promise you. I know most of us are saying, well, I'm driving the car on the street more than the track, and I understand that. You might want to start with the Michelins maybe, and then just kind of move up afterward. but that's, you know, that's definitely something to kind of to look into. But anyways, I run strictly the Yokohamas. They do very, very well for me. Like I said, for street and track, I can get probably, if I'm lucky, 11. So I'd say 7 to 11,000 out of a set of rears, and I can get probably 11 to 12,000 out of a front set of front tires. Issue with my tires, basically, you guys, and it goes back to the dynamics of the car itself as the tires wear. When the tires are new front and rear, and I'm sorry if I'm going off on a tangent here, the car does handle really, really well. Handles very neutral with the new tire sizes that I'm running. I'm running a 255 and a 295 in the back. Now, with the stock 225s and a 255, it does handle pretty well. You will get some understeer at the limit, and a little bit kind of maybe sooner than the limit. I think I might have maybe harped on the understeer a little bit more in my first video. It is there. It's not horrible, but it is there, and it is something you would want to address on the track. But it's simple, basically, is either just going with the better bushings or just a wider tire on the stock wheel, or just going with a different wheel and tire package, which is what I did basically. But dynamically, the car handles really, really well. Now, as the tires wear, and of course, because you're pushing 416 horsepower, or you've got an exhaust or headers or ECU. I mean, now these things they're pushing probably close to 480 horsepower, 470 horsepower with all the mods that are available for the car now, including the RR Racing ECU tune, the headers, the exhaust, and then you can have the guys from RR tune the ECU with the intake, headers, and exhaust, so it's insane. But anyways, because you're putting so much power down, you're going to wear the rears out, not almost, but let's say 40% is faster than the front. So as the car kind of as the tires wear, your car shifts from neutral to slight understeer to kind of an oversteer kind of a feel. So the issue is if you start doing the cheap thing, which I've done before and I've suffered for it on the track, where you kind of go, well shit, these front tires still have 35% on them, or on them basically, or even 40%. You're just like, well, fuck that, I'm just going to replace the rears. Now you got a car that understeers, and that's the bottom line. So if you're going to play it cheap, you're gonna ruin the kind of dynamics on the car. To each his own, basically. The front tires are an extra. I mean, they're not cheap, man. They're, let's say $500, but the car is going to handle perfect. So it really depends if I'm going to a new track, or I don't know. It really depends on the condition of the fronts if I'm going to replace the fronts. But I'd say 90% of the time, or 80% of the time, I end up replacing the fronts because I don't want to deal with the understeer. So it can be a little bit. I'm not going to say wasteful. It's just you're shooting for the best dynamics, but you're obviously not gonna. It's not gonna. You're not gonna get the most efficiency out of your tires. Let's put it that way. But again, the car handles really well, you guys, out of the box. Now, again, as you get better, okay, and you will get better as you learn how to brake harder and take the turns a little bit better, and you get a little bit more comfortable with the limits of your car, you start moving up. The speeds that you start driving on the track will get higher. You can actually physically even see it in your video. Literally, you look at it and you're like, shit, the corner, like you're moving through the corner a lot faster. But as you start moving up, then you will start to feel the understeer, which is what most engineers are going to dial into most of these cars for safety. It's the bottom line. Most people, understeer slows you down, oversteer turns you around. So that's not necessarily the best thing. But you can address as you get faster on the track or even on the street, basically. You can address some of the handling understeer. Just an easy set of 245s in the front. So when your tires wear out, just shift from a 225 to a 245, and that takes care of quite a bit of it. You can also get rid of a lot of the oversteer or the wheel spin on launch, just upgrade from the 255 in the back to a 275. Now, you are going to lose a little diameter in the tire, so I think the size of the tire comes down by 0.2 of an inch or something like that. A lot of guys will sit there and scream, it's only 0.2, you can't really notice. I notice it. I think it looks a little, I don't know, funny. It is what it is, basically. To each his own. It is only 0.2 of an inch, but I notice the difference. It just makes the tire look a little smaller, so kind of increases wheel gap. But you do get rid of the understeer and then some of the wheel spin and that kind of thing. Especially as the tires get older, the car just kind of holds up. But with 400 and whatever horsepower you're running, you're going to get some wheel spin and oversteer as the tires get older. So just something to kind of consider, you guys, with the cars, especially as they age, and if you do want to start tracking them a little bit more regularly, again, do I change both tires? Do I change just my rears, basically, and kind of just let the fronts, go with it, basically? Now, another main thing that you're gonna be thinking about on the track, you guys, because, you know, again, it comes back to the issue of anxiety on the track, is God forbid what happens, you know, if there's an accident on the track, which is, you know, luckily hasn't happened basically for me. I haven't seen any well, I know, you know what, actually at the last track day there was an accident. It was two McLaren 675 LTs actually ran into each other. That was pretty wild, actually, and I felt really, really, really bad for those guys. But anyways, you need to kind of clear this kind of stuff, you know, before you get out there. So the main thing you want to do is to basically check with your insurance. Now, if you don't want to check your insurance, you can always check your insurance policy if you're a details guy. That shit'll take you a while. Those things are long as hell. So you can either check your insurance policy or call your insurance plan. Now, what you're doing, you guys, is not racing. It's not real racing, even though we all think it is and we want to act like it is. It's not racing. What we're doing, actually, you guys, is what we call HPDE, and that's what you're going to be signing up for in the end. It's high performance driver education. Now, it's so you're basically learning to drive your car at the limit, to become a better driver, and to become a safer driver as well, because you can respond to dynamic issues. You know, we'll call them oversteer, car accidents, braking harder, that kind of thing, or getting comfortable braking harder. So you are learning to become a better driver. So now some insurance companies, and it's going to be very rare, will allow you to take part in these driver education courses, basically, and to become a better driver and a safer driver. I've been lucky enough to have that insurance company, basically, that does that. If anybody wants to know, I can let you know through PM. I don't want to get myself into trouble right now. They've already okayed it, and I don't want to cause any issues if they happen to change their mind or anything like that. But anyways, you know what? That's bullshit, you guys. I've cleared it, and I've had actually a friend of mine clear it, but it's Geico, basically. They will allow you to take part, in these driver education, high performance driver education courses. Most companies will not. You need to make sure. Now, if you are involved with a company that does not, you do need to get insurance. Unless you're driving something older, it's up to you. But again, we're doing an ISF track day review. Now, they do sell policies through your race group. You can usually, they either sell the policies, not necessarily directly through the race group, but they have links through the insurance companies that will allow it. These policies can run anywhere from, and again, it depends on the value of the car, or what you're willing, you know, what you want to insure, you know, the max amount for, basically. So I've seen them go from anywhere from, let's say, 180 to like 350, depending on the car and the value and the amount. So again, that's something to consider, basically, here. Because that, you know, that does add up. Luckily enough, like I said, I've been covered with my plan. I showed Geico the information from the race group and the definition of what we're doing, and that kind of description from Pro Auto, and they're like, yeah, okay, that's covered. A friend of mine also, who did own an ISF, who sold his, he also called Geico to make sure that it was covered. They initially told him no, and then he told him, this is not racing, there's no stunting, this is not demolition, it's just high performance driver education. We do have instructors in the car, that kind of thing. And then he showed them, again, the description from the race group, and they okayed it. They said, okay, that's fine, basically. Luckily, like I said, I've had no issue, and you have to be safe, you guys. Again, it goes back again to the very beginning. You have to be humble. There's no hot dogging, you know, and you're out there to learn. You're not out there to race. You're out there to become a better driver. And that's a cool thing about the track, actually, is it becomes a very awesome and very unique atmosphere, especially for enthusiasts, because everybody you find out there is so into driving and tracking their car, and they're totally enthusiasts of their car. The people out there are, I think, in my opinion, you guys, are the utmost of the enthusiasts for that model, regardless of what anybody thinks. If you're out there on the track, you are learning to drive your car. You're, you know, expressing that love for your car and for driving. It's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. So it's a very unique environment. Everybody out there is just wearing the biggest grin on their face. They can't wipe it off. Everybody's driving around with the biggest smile on their face. They're in the greatest mood. It's like everybody's walking around just happier than happy. So everybody's super cool about teaching you, going over things, helping you, whether it's with a tow hook, or changing a tire, or, you know, literally you need help with suspension, or there's some damage, or you need a coolant radiator fix, whatever it is, they're right there to help you. It's a very, very cool environment. And to be honest, honestly, I feel like I connect with people at the track more than most people I'd meet at car shows. It's pretty cool. It's a very cool environment, you guys, and I would recommend it strongly or highly to anybody out there. I mean, whether you love your car, you just love driving your car, or both. It's probably going to be both if you're going to be a track guy, basically. But very cool environment. Now I'm gonna go back to the beginner basic, guys, because I went off on a massive tangent. When you are a beginner and you do your sessions, okay, each session is going to run about 20 minutes. And once you come off the track, there's going to be what they usually refer to as a download session, which is a class that you're going to enter with your instructors, as well as the main instructor, and everybody's going to go over basically what went well on the track and what didn't go well, what was scary, what wasn't so scary, what was fun, what wasn't fun, you know, how did the cars do. They will go over certain things in terms of how to brake and what you're doing wrong and what you might need to work on and that kind of a thing, or they'll give you some positive feedback and be like, well, hell, you're great, you're doing really, really good. It was funny as hell. I remember my instructor on my first track, they started laughing. He goes, shit, let me out of the car, you're good, man. He's, I'll just get out here, which was very flattering, and it was cool. But anyways, you know, you will have a download session. So anyways, you'll get to sit and talk one-on-one and with the other drivers as opposed to, you know, like I said, what went well, what didn't go well, what was scary, what wasn't so scary, what I need to work on. And then the other thing you're going to want to work on as well too when you leave the track, and it also is kind of cool just to watch, is you're going to want to take some video. And the video is not just to show your friends, which is fun, and just to watch yourself, but it's also to kind of learn. You get an idea of what you're doing, what you're not doing right. Like for example, what I learned for myself, and I think you'll see with a lot of guys, basically, is your first track day out, especially the first time, is you're going to overdrive the car. That's really, really common. We all go out there and we push a little bit hard. It is what it is, basically, and you'll learn to kind of scale it back within a couple laps. Some guys, it takes a couple track days. I learned within a couple laps I was kind of entering the turns a little too fast because I was understeering or oversteering, and then the traction control would kick in. So the videos really help to kind of hone in some of the tools. For another example, basically, I found that a lot of times when I was entering turns, I started to learn to brake the right way and brake very late, but my shifting wasn't right. I didn't have it in the right gear. I was dropping gears as I was exiting the turn, or dropping that final gear as I was exiting the turn, as opposed to having the gears, you know, locked in real low and have the RPM set really high, so, you know, corner exit, you've got all your power and your torque. So again, the videos are crucial in helping you learn what you're doing right, what you're not, and also where you can kind of make up a little bit of time. Initially, when you go out there, you're going to learn, or you're going to want to go out there just to have some fun, you know, and take the video and watch the video, and it's fun, you know. And as things progress and you get a little faster, you're going to start shooting for faster times. And then again, the videos help you kind of learn where I can kind of take that turn a little bit wider and cut in a little bit closer, you know, that kind of a thing. That helps. The other thing that helps you to kind of reduce anxiety, you guys, before you head out to the track, I would say by far, is you need to, you know, once you go out and you do your registration and you sign up for your track day and you get your insurance squared away, you want to do some track homework. What's track homework? Other than prepping the car and making sure it's safe, what you want to do is go online. It's very simple. Just go on YouTube. We've all got YouTube. Go on YouTube and you want to Google the track that you're going to go to. And remember, some of these tracks will have different configurations, so some will be a lot, you know, some will have different names, or some will just have different lengths. But you want to just Google the track that you're going to be on in the configuration that you're going to be on, whether it's counterclockwise or clockwise. Just Google it. You'll find so many videos. You're not the only track junkie to want to get out there and learn. You guys are going to find tons of videos out there. What you want to do is sit there for I'm just going to speak for myself, and I'm a little OCD, you guys. I spend a couple of weeks at night, you know, maybe at night I'll watch maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 times. I'll just watch a few laps of the track, just people driving on the track. And what that helps you basically to learn is, you know, where are the straights, how hard are the straights, are there elevation changes, how hard are some of the turns, how technical are some of the sections of the course, basically. Sorry, you guys. Which is critical, basically, to make you a better driver when you're out there, okay? You will be a lot better, trust me. A big portion of learning, or the big part of the learning curve, is going to be removed because you've already seen the videos, you've already learned how to take some of the turns, you've already learned, wait a minute, there's a hill there and I need to watch my braking when I'm coming down that hill because there's a hard right or a hard left or whatever, basically. So you have to do your track homework, you guys. Definitely make sure you watch a bunch of track video. That helps to reduce anxiety. It really helps to make you a much better driver. An example of that, I'd say, is I went out to Chuckwalla in California, And as I mentioned, I always like to grid position 1. Now, I had never been to Chuckwalla, and I'd started my first track day there, and I wasn't in the beginning group, I was in the intermediate group. So we're pretty quick. Not the quickest, but we're pretty quick. I gridded position 1. I was like, fuck this, I can do this. Why? It's because I'd watched the track video, shit, probably like 120 times before I went out there. So I'd learned the line. Excuse me, I'd learned the line before I went out there. And it helped me quite a bit to get very comfortable, even with some of the faster sections of the course. Now, in the end, I did let by some of the faster cars, but I was more than comfortable with gridding position 1 and getting the hell out there and just killing it, basically. So again, do your track homework, watch the videos. It helps quite a bit. The other thing I'd recommend you guys, and this might sound real simple, just make sure you get there early, like just ridiculously early. Just don't get there right at the edge. There's always something you're going to forget or some question you're going to want to ask. And it just, again, it really helps to kind of just reduce some of the stress of the day, basically. Because, I mean, sometimes you will feel like you're, chicken running around with your head cut off. You're not sure exactly where's the driver's meeting and where's the safety inspection. Where do I pull up and where's the grid again, and that kind of thing. It kind of keeps you on your toes. So again, just to reduce that anxiety, show up early, ask a lot of questions, make sure you do your track homework, watch your videos, that kind of a thing. That helps quite a bit to help reduce anxiety. Now again, some of the basic checks you guys are going to want to do, and I'm not you guys a mechanic by any means, but you do want to check your pads, learn how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, just take a flashlight. You can go on YouTube and learn how to check the thickness of the pad. It's very easy. You just do your visual inspections for the pads. Make sure there's no cracks in your rotors. I always check my tires. Check your tire pressures. You usually want to bring them down just maybe 2 psi, so they're not at 36, which is recommended by Lexus. I usually bring mine down to 34. Now you might have that temptation for more grip and that kind of thing, and you start going and down, bringing them down too low. A lot of us have learned the hard way, including myself, but I didn't cut the tire all the way through. But if you bring the tire pressures down too low, you guys, let's say to 31. Remember, this car with the driver in it, and I'm thick, I'm big, I'm a big guy, I'm 6'5", I'm 290. Me in the car, this car is 2 tons. So remember, you're still pushing a pretty heavy car. So when you're going on a corner hard enough, and I mean, some of my track videos will show I'm over a G. I'm at 1.1 Gs or even slightly over, and you've got 2 tons or 4,000 pounds on this rolled tire. You're gonna chew that sidewall. So you still want a little PSI in there, you guys, so you don't roll the sidewall completely, especially with all the weight, or if you have a passenger. So I found in my experience, don't go lower than 33. I run a 34. Now, what happens if you go too low? You're going to find slits in the top of the tire, right where the sidewall meets the top of the tire, and whatever. It's not ideal, basically, for the health of the tire and the life of the tire. I've had a friend of mine who tracked this car, and he ended up getting slit in the sidewall, and he had to replace the tire. So make sure you adjust your tire pressures. Don't bring them too low. Check your pads. Check your oil. Check your coolant. That kind of stuff, you guys, should be pretty basic, even if you're not a full-on mechanic, which I'm not, basically. Now, some guys do choose to remove the spare, lighten up the car. It's 40 pounds. It might help with some of the rear end grip, maybe a little bit, but at the same time, the weight might actually help to kind of add a little grip, and then maybe even add a little rotation when the tires get too hot. For me, my tracks are, I've got the closest one to me is like 30, no, it's actually 24 miles. I've got one that's 48 miles, and then I've gone as far as, I've gone 284 miles to go to Indy, 250 miles to go to Chuckwalla, and then next month I'll be driving 316 miles, and again, these are each way, just to get to Spring Mountain Motorsports Ranch in Nevada, basically. So I've done some driving. So when I'm driving that distance, I'm not going to fuck around and drive anywhere without especially in the desert, you guys, without a spare in my car. So I do tend to leave the spare in when I prep my car. Now, another thing I do recommend, and this is a preference thing, and I'm going to speak for myself, and I've done, like I said, almost 20 track days, so I'm more than a novice, and I've done more track days than most of the guys out there. We come to the big issue: do you leave your traction control on? That's a big question. Yes. Not just yes, fuck yes, I leave my traction control on. Stop, again, it goes back to being humble. Stop acting like you're better than you are, okay? You're not better than you are. You do have to learn. You still have a lot to learn, all right? Whether you're a novice or whether you're a pro, the traction control, you guys, just acts as a safety net, okay? That's the bottom line. I think in the beginning, the traction control is going to act as a safety net. I think in the end, as you get really, really good and you get faster. Again, it acts as a safety net as well, but I think it allows you also to push a little bit harder without suffering. Do you see what I mean? It kind of keeps you in line and that kind of a thing. It is, I think, one of the best safety advancements we've had in probably the last 20 or 30 years. It doesn't make sense to go and push the car to the limit and take it off. This car will oversteer on the track. In fact, it leads me to another story, you guys. I was on a track once with a Carrera 4S. I was driving, not the Carrera 4S, I was driving, and we were battling a little bit. We were going back and forth. And it was funny, he had his girlfriend in the car, and I ended up getting past him. And we ran out, you know, after the track, we did our kind of just hanging out and kind of kicking tires and talking. And this guy basically told me straight up, don't take your traction control off. I can actually see as you're rounding some of the corners that your car starts to slide, and then it kind of goes back in line, goes back in line, slides, goes back in line. He's like, your traction control is really helping you to kind of keep the car at the limit, keep it straight. So I have never had the car, I've never driven the car at on the track, you guys, without my traction control. And if you watch some of my videos, I'm moving pretty good. There's no pussyfooting on the track. So I find it just keeps me safe. If you have a good set of tires, you're really going to find very, very minimal intrusion, especially if you know what you're doing and you're exiting the turns, you know, and you're not slamming on the gas too early and that kind of thing. You know, you're exiting your turn the right way, you know, mid corners where you want to start rolling on the throttle, you know, that kind of thing. You know, go over your track fundamentals, you guys. There's a lot of good videos online, even from Motor Trend. And there's a lot of books basically that you can pick up, basically give you the fundamentals of the dynamics of track driving, which is also going to help you when you're driving. But generally the car is neutral with a little bit of understeer initially. As the tires go, you're going to get more of the oversteer. Leave your traction control on. If you're driving on a track day that doesn't have as much as many cars basically, and you want to hot dog it, you can go ahead and do it. Some guys have gone out there and they're actually trying to learn how to drift, and some of these race groups, you guys will have drift courses or drift days. So if you want to do that kind of thing, go for it. You know, run it and have a great time basically without the traction control. With me, I'm more into my you know, into the track driving, pushing the car at the limit, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to lose my safety net basically here. Another tool that I would recommend highly, you guys, other than the basic set of tools that you probably might want to bring to your track day, and of course your track chair, which is also something you're going to want to bring, and maybe an umbrella or a tent, that kind of a thing. You're going to want to pick up Harry's Lap Timer, which is probably the best and probably the most commonly used app of any track app that you can pick up online, period. So whether you got an iPhone or an Android or whatever the hell, basically you want to pick up Harry's Lap Timer. It's got a couple different configurations, and it is an expensive app for an app. It runs, I think, anywhere from I want to say 14 bucks or 12 bucks. It runs up to $19.99 or 20 bucks. But basically you got telemetry. You have telemetry system in your phone. It turns your iPhone into a telemeter, or telemetry system, excuse me. So it picks up your speed. It picks up it lays down the course on your video. It overlays your video with the track speed and information, including your G's, your track position, what lap you're on, even sector times and lap times for, lap times entering and exiting every corner in every sector. It's really, really impressive, you guys. It gives you the G readings. I mean, it gives you a number of telemetry information or sectional information. It's actually pretty impressive, especially for a guy who's just, you know, having, you know, weekend warrior track guy basically. You know, you're not full on race group. It gives you more than enough information and allows you to overlay video from your cell phone, or the information it'll take from your cell phone and overlay the video from the cell phone, and it's beautiful basically. You can set the video quality in the phone to a higher video quality setting, which does work. It's a little grainy, it's not the best, but there are also ways to where you can use the app with your GoPro, which is another tool I was going to mention to you guys as well. For some of the guys who do want the 1080p or 4K, like the hardcore, you know, quality track video, you can get it via GoPro. They're $300-400 bucks, and I found it as an invaluable tool. I'm using it right now to record this basically, so it works really, really well, and you get clear video. There is a way that you can overlay the Harry's Lap Timer information on top of your GoPro video with an app on your computer. I'm not savvy enough, so I just use basically my my Harry's Lap Timer video overlay, and then I also record secondarily with my GoPro video. So usually when I leave my track days, I've got multiple videos to watch. I've got the Harry's Lap Timer with the overlay, and then I've also got the GoPro video, which is usually really, really clear as you guys can tell probably right now. So again, a few more you know, tools for the track. Definitely check out Harry's lap timer, you guys. It's been invaluable. And the other cool thing too is it's gonna memorize your lap times for every track day that you do. It's gonna store them in your phone. And then this is the cool thing too. I told you that it's very, very popular. Now, it'll actually compare and have your lap times to everybody else's lap times who recorded with Harry's lap timer at the track that day. So it's really, and you'd be surprised, it's a lot more than just a few guys. It's, in my opinion, it almost seems like it's a majority of the guys are out there using Harry's lap timer. You don't find the guys renting the little telemetry or recording units from the race groups anymore since Harry's lap timer came out, basically here. The very last thing I was going to mention to you guys, other than going out and learning and having a good time, when you do these track days, these things are pretty cool. I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit of a track junkie, and I really enjoy my track time, and I take a lot of pride in my track time and learning how to drive the car. So one thing I always do, and it's something I'm really into, is I always have a photographer take videos or pictures, mostly pictures basically. Not as easy to find a videographer basically unless you've got somebody there shooting video for you. But what you can find mostly at these track days, most of the time at these track days, is there's going to be a photographer. I've never found a race group that didn't have one. The track photographers will run anywhere, in my experience, between $25 and $50, and they'll shoot videos of all 4 of your sessions. And that, again, when you do their track days, you usually get 4 20-minute sessions, and in my experience, some groups will give you 5, which is pretty cool. They do like an extra one at the end of the day if you're still around. But yeah, it's kind of cool to get track pictures, man. It's really cool. You've got you in your car, and you're going, around the corner really hard. The car's leaning, capture all that energy, capture the fun of the track day. It's something kind of cool to kind of show the family and the friends. And I'm an older ISF owner, basically. I'm in my early 40s. And it's something kind of cool to show my kids. My kids are still really young. It's still something kind of cool to show the kids. And look at Daddy, having fun on the track. I've also been lucky enough to actually have my wife and my family come out and visit at the track while I was on track, which was, man, that was the best, you guys. That made it the best track day I've ever had. Just seeing my kids, the video my mother-in-law took of my kids bouncing up and down, Daddy, Daddy, go, go. It was a great feeling. Super, super cool. Something I'll never forget. But I have been lucky enough to share that with my family, and that just made it the best. But just like I said, capturing the moments with a photographer just makes it even that much more special. Or, I was lucky enough at my track day to have the photographer actually capture the moments, capture some do some lap photos with me and my wife in the car, as well as me and my father-in-law in the car, which was super cool and something I'm sure they'll never forget. I'll never forget too. Now what I've done also, you guys, is I've created a little bit of a gallery in my car, and I know it's a little bit obsessive basically. Most people, you park your car, your garage looks like shit. It's just a big white, white walls, you got ugly gray floors and that kind of a thing basically, stains on the floor, and you just park your car and it is what it is. I've painted my walls the same color as the inside of my house, and I've done my floors with a garage finish, and I've even done my cabinets the same color as the chocolate cabinets inside the house. So what I've done is I've laid the walls in the garage with oh my god, probably 25 or 30 20 by 30 prints, 20 inch by 30 inch prints of my photos from my track day. So I've turned my every wall in the garage is just track day photos. It's turned into a gallery, which is super cool, and it's a source of pride. It's fun. It's something kind of cool that over the track days, and again, I've done 19 so far, 20 next month. It's kind of cool as your track days goes on. You gather your photos and you make your gallery changes. It's a dynamic, track gallery, which is kind of cool. It's also a little bit of a conversation starter when you have people over to the house, and I always get the big thumbs up from the neighbors when they drive by at night and the lights are on. It's pretty obvious, they can see the photos from outside, so it's pretty cool. So again, lots of fun, you guys, lots of memories. The car will do very, very well stock, and I do recommend sticking with the car stock, you guys, even with the 225s and the 255s right out of the box. You don't need to do shit to this car. I want you to go and learn, have some fun with the car. As you progressively get a little bit better and you get a little bit faster and you get a little bit more comfortable, then you can up to the up to the wider tires, or start worrying about wider tires, that kind of thing. My brakes, you guys, are bone stock, including my fucking fluid. I don't mess around with this thing, and I'm doing braking zones, entering braking zones at 135 miles an hour. The car's fine. I've never had any fade, anything. The only time I've ever had any issues where I felt a little bit of my ABS kicking in is when I had my passengers in my car last time, which is my last track day at AMP, or Arizona Motorsports Park. Just a little bit of the little pulsing basically, which was very, very minor, nothing crazy. But so far, like I said, the car after 19 track days, bone stock brakes, bone stock brake fluid, everything's fine. I'm not changing my brake fluid every few track days. The car's been fine. Pads are fine, pads are stock, suspension is stock minus the bushings in the front, and I have a rear sway bar, which is I think it was $170 on eBay, you guys, a rear F-Sport sway bar. I've gotten a lot faster over my 20 track days, so I have up to the larger 255 in the front and 295 in the back, and I have gone to aftermarket wheels because I found that the wider tires on the stock wheels just felt really wishy-washy. It felt almost, you guys, like you're driving your car around, instead of 36 psi, I felt like I was driving around like 26 psi. It just felt really wishy-washy when I moved the wheel around. It didn't feel good, basically. So again, to each his own. That's something you'll have to consider as you get a little faster and as you feel the car out. But I've been on the track, you guys, with an ISF, even with my wider wheels, and he was on the stock sizes, but he had an aftermarket suspension. He was more than able to keep up with me, 100% even. So again, you don't have to upsize right away. Start with everything stock, and then as you kind of you feel out your pace and your courses. The courses that I have don't have a lot of elevation changes, so I haven't had any issues with my brakes. So I haven't had to run off and change brakes and do that kind of crazy stuff basically here. So again, it's something you just want to feel out as you become a better driver, a more comfortable driver, and a faster driver. So that's the bottom line. But I want you guys to learn, learn to F the track, have some fun with your car, enjoy your car. You're not going to hurt this car. You're going to go through your brakes and your tires a little bit faster. That's obvious basically, but you're not going to fuck this car up. This car is designed to take the extra abuse. This is not, and I don't mean to offend anybody out there, this is not an F-Sport car. This is an F. It's a real F car. This is a track car, or factory tuned track car. Now the F-Sport cars, you guys, I'm sure you can track them, but they're going to need a little bit more, maybe a little bit more help to kind of get up to speed. You know what I mean? Their suspension's probably not going to handle as well. Their brakes, although they might be a little bit more upgraded, are not going to be like the full Brembo, like these things are basically here. So again, this car out of the box, it does a great job. So anyways, you guys, I want you to have fun with the car, have some confidence in the car, have some confidence in yourself, and have some fun. You guys will love it. And thank you very much for checking out the second F the Track vlog. I hope you guys have enjoyed this and you guys will find this useful. Make sure to subscribe to the page, you guys, if you haven't, F the Track, or even I8 Beamer, which is my other page. Check them out. I'm gonna have lots of good content. I'm also doing F the Track on Facebook, which is we just hit 10,000 followers, which I'm super excited about. And F the Track is even on Instagram. So check us out, you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time.